Hello, and welcome to the THC Show. I'm your host, Jericho Spitz. Thank you for tuning in. We are live. It is July 9th, Monday. Beautiful day in Chicago. Nice and warm out. How you guys doing out there tonight? Well, I have one live viewer so far. I just started, and I am waiting on a few more people to connect and get online with me, and we are going to start the show. I see two users here with me so far. Let's see. We have Estelle. Thank you for joining me, Estelle. DJ Estelle Fox, that is. She's awesome. Love you. Scott Tender, we good? I see you. Hello. Glad you guys could join me tonight. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and get this thing, get this show on the road while we wait on some more people to join us. Looks like somebody else just joined, the third person. Tonight's show is going to be about fear. Fear. This just the word just sounds bad. Good Lord. Fear is the opposite of love. So basically, if you have no love attached to what is going on in your mind right now, then you're existing in some form of fear right now. I went on and on, throughout my music career, shaman career, just trying my best to educate people about what love actually truly is. Because, if you only have our cultural or pop cultural view or educational view or institutional view of what love is, there are some masters who would beg to differ that you really understand what love is. So anything that is not love is fear. And this is the topic we're going to get into tonight, is how we are programmed to allow fear to limit us from being the highest form of ourselves that we could possibly be. So a lot of us in our minds have this idea that we can't be this, or we can't be that, or we can't do this or that. And I'm here to tell you that God said you can do whatever you want. So that being said, why can't you? Well, first of all, we have these things placed on our mind called limits or fears or boundaries or walls. And these things can be circumvented or actually pile drived over if you have the wherewithal to reprogram yourself and take the fear and limits out of your mind and replace them with feelings of appreciation and love for the vision that you do hold for yourself. So what I like to do is I like to start the show off with a quick spoken word piece that I wrote actually a long time ago, but I think it's very relevant to today's topic. So I'm going to actually play that for you guys right now.
6 walls have surrounded me for quite some time. Not from the very beginning, but definitely from this beginning. I don't remember the first time I saw them or who built them, just that they've always been there, containing me, keeping me safe from the outside. Left, right, front, back, up, down, a wall in every direction, permeable, yet only showing me a reflection of limitation, sedation, and anything but the infinite benefits of creation through meditation. My station has been determined by the presence of these walls, too solid to call them anything but bars, despite their true nature of malleability, slowly killing me, as their only purpose is to prevent me from feeling free, which is all every spiritually originated atom in the universe physically desires, instinctively, intuitively, infinitely. This will never change, nor will the building of walls, only to be torn down as they manifest into view for what they truly are: boundaries, cultures, religions, sciences, traditions,
histories written
by winners with vision. And we listen just enough to keep us blind to the countless mechanisms that weaken our mind. So we never see the walls, never even have an inkling that they exist. But persist we must, resist the need to trust anyone, anything, any law, any king that clips our wings and suppresses our dreams and deems that we shall not think outside the box. The path of least resistance.
Now, now that we got that out of the way, I'm hoping you guys listen to that, because when I first started to understand fear and what it is, it hit me one day when I really got it, that fear does not exist. It's not a thing that you can touch. It's not it's a state of not being in love with the moment and being present in the moment and loving it. When you're not loving each moment and living presently, then you are in a state of fear. And I mean, for some people, if that's where you like to be and you're happy there, then by all means, stay there. Yes, that was my piece, Estelle, by the way. I wrote that, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. It's old. But anyway, this state of fear. Hi, Lauren. Thanks for joining. Love you. So this state of fear that we actually create with our minds is something that doesn't actually exist, and something that you do not have to allow to hinder you from anything that you want to do, or anything that you want to be, or anything that you want to create. So how do I not fear? Okay, well, for one thing, you can only have one emotion in your mind at once. Your focus cannot be on love and hate, or love and fear at the same time. It's just, that's not how we're built. So what you have to do if you want to replace the fear in your mind is you have to focus on love. Any form of love is better than no form of love at all. So if you're feeling fear, you don't have to fight the fear, because fighting anything only makes it grow. What you'd like to do is you start to focus on what you can appreciate about your present state in this moment right now. Because if I'm feeling negative, if I'm feeling sad, or self-pity, or hate, or anger, or jealousy, or envy, or any of these negative emotions that can cripple us and cause disease and basically poison our lives, if I'm feeling one of these emotions and I want to no longer feel this emotion, and if you don't know how to not feel that emotion anymore, then don't worry about fighting that. Worry about replacing it with something new, like appreciation. So think about what in your life you can appreciate. I went through this on the last episode about what I used to use when I started to do this myself, and I was trying to reprogram myself so that I would habitually think appreciation rather than fear. I used, other people on this planet who are in poor countries or poor, environments where there is no resource, there are no resources, there is no food, there is no hope, and those people would give up a lot in order to be in my shoes, or in your shoes, more than likely. So if you're not able to use that analogy to make yourself start focusing on how good you have it and make yourself feel appreciation, then you need to find something visually in your mind that works for you. Something that makes you look at someone and go, God damn, I'm glad I'm not right there right now. Because if you do that, how can you not feel appreciation for where you are? It's really, really simple to do this. It's not difficult at all. Anyone can do it. But what you have to do is you have to make this a habitual pattern of thought. And that is not easy. Maybe for some people it is, but for me it wasn't easy. It took me doing everything I could to remind myself throughout my day that I should be appreciating. and not focusing on fear or worrying about bills or the rent or anything else that can make us feel negative when we look around and see that that problem may not look like it's being solved right now. That doesn't mean it won't be solved, but us worrying about it and putting negative emotion with the thoughts, attaching negative emotion to our thoughts about it does nothing to remedy the process. It wastes our time because we're wasting time worrying, which doesn't help. And it doesn't do anything but attract more negativity from the universe to your situation. So, no worry, all appreciation, your life starts to change. Your life starts to get better. So, put sticky notes on your steering wheel, on your car door, on your toothbrush, at your desk at work, or on your cash register, wherever you work, wherever you are, and you spend the most time, you need to have reminders of appreciation. Everywhere you go, everywhere you're going to be the most, where you have control over the environment, do this for at least 18 days, but preferably go 30 days with seeing every day, all day, everywhere you go, appreciate. And if you don't notice in 30 days improvements in your life, wow. I don't really know what to tell you. Real shit though, it works, man. The law of attraction is always in effect, always. And I would like to make the majority of this discussion today about fear and how when we don't or when we aren't aware that the law of attraction is in use, we're still using it, and how to start taking the fear out of our consistent use of it and replacing it with love and appreciation. So, in the poem that I just let you guys hear called The Box, I discussed the 6 walls that I, at the time I wrote this, perceived surrounding me. In every direction that I went, there was a limit of you can't do this because you're too much of this, or you can't have that because you don't have this, or you're not too much of that, or there was always a reason in every direction that I looked. There was always a reason why I couldn't attain my goals. And what I discovered and what made me have the aha moment when I wrote the poem was learning that every limit that was placed on me through my consciousness and was nothing more than thought. And I would bet anything that the limits that are placed on your life are ultimately thought based as well. And if you were to change what you believe about these things, you could change what you're capable of doing or being with regard to these things. Um, so let's see. Before I actually go any further, I just want to thank everybody for joining the show. See, Vinny, what's good with you, bro? That's my dog. I want to just welcome everybody here. Thank you all for joining. And I would like to know if you have anything to add to this discussion. And what I'll do is, as I'm continue talking, I'll read your comments and I will see if and I'll respond to your comments as we go along. And anybody else that responds to your comments or has any dialogue to add to the show, I'll read it out loud and make sure that the crowd hears it for those who are not able to see comments as they're watching this in the future. Also, I'm going to open up the phone line, and if anybody wants to call in and be a part of this dialogue vocally, you're more than welcome. I would love to have you. And so, yeah. Vinny says some relevant readings to the topics at hand are at iacenter.org/POL prisoners/MAJESSAY.HTM. Now, I didn't click on this link yet, but it's Mubia Abu Jamal, Essays from Death Row. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of essays here. I would imagine there would be a whole lot of commentary on the fear limiting us kind of deal. Well, let me get into how I started out removing fear and replacing it with appreciation, and how I made it habitual, because that's one of the things I see very often with friends of mine, spiritual friends of mine, who are enlightened people and are moving forward, but seem to be stuck in certain places, is that they know how the law of attraction works and they know that they're always using it, but just knowing that may have not been enough to remove all of the programming of fearful limits, fear-based limits that keep people stuck in what we call ruts. Um, I've had the same. I mean, I went through this myself, and at first it was really really hard to go from someone who would just have any random negative thing happen to me and I would just let it out. Oh, fuck, and just start cursing. I would just get so negatively emotionally charged about things that went wrong throughout my day that, it just created more negativity for my life. So to go from someone who spent a lot of time uh, charging up my visualizations with negative emotions, going from that to being someone who can have something negative happen and not really affect me in a negatively emotional way, or either if it did, able have the ability to catch myself and get back to love and appreciation faster than I used to. Like, to get from that point, it was a process. But honestly, most of the process was making sure that something was in my face every day, everywhere I went, shouting appreciate to me. And like, any other habit, if you do something long enough, which usually from 17 to 31 days for most people, you do something long enough and it becomes a habit. And once you see that appreciating things becomes more of a habit and you find yourself appreciating and feeling love based emotions more than the fear based emotions and the negative ways of looking at what's going on in your life, the more you do this, the more you're going to see that you're attracting more love based things that will make you more content and happier in life. But you have to feel it first. People think that, you experience matter and then you feel a certain way about it. And that's not how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be you feel it, feel what you want, and then that comes to you and you experience it. We are creators, and this is how you create. So, that being said, I would like to pause for a second and read Estelle's comment. She said, it's important to pre pave your day or even moments with a positive vibration dash intention to be ready for the day. I agree 100%. I think I mentioned on one of the previous episodes where, people will start their day and maybe stub their toe on the bed. And then you're just like, damn it, and you get all mad and you throw this anger out first thing in the morning at the beginning of your day when you're still kind of half in sleepy mode and you're still in a place of different consciousness. It has a more powerful effect on this plane, and you let that anger out, you let that negative emotion out, and then what happens, it starts to ripple and the rest of your day, bad thing, bad thing, bad thing, negative, 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 and then you're laying down at night like wondering in bed like, how did my day go so screwed up? Well, when you get up and you stub your toe, stop and remember what Estelle said. You have to pre-pave your day. So if it starts off on the wrong foot, stop, regroup yourself, do some yoga, get a massage, have sex with your significant other, do something that's going to put you back in happy mode, because if you don't, you're not creating consciously. And that's the whole key here, is what we want to do is we want to create consciously. Who feels like a leaf blowing in the wind? If you feel like a leaf blowing in the wind, you really need to be watching these episodes and paying attention to what I'm saying here, because I remember a time in my life when I felt like a leaf blowing in the wind. I mean, I always felt like I had some measure of control just because I was a little ahead of a lot of people on my education when I was younger. In my teens, I knew a lot of things about computers, stuff that adults didn't know yet. So I always kind of felt like I had a measure of control. But every time I would, uh, I would be living my life and doing great, and then bam, something super negative would happen, take me back to zero, and I'd have to start over. And this happened to me multiple times in my life, because regardless of the control I thought I had over the material plane, I had no control over myself spiritually, or over my thoughts, or over um, the institutional uh, uh, programming of fear and fear based limits that I did not know how to think around or think outside of. So educating myself on this allowed it to happen, allowed me to start seeing that I need to appreciate and replace that fear with appreciation. And so I did. And what I started to see was that as I used the law of attraction consciously and made positive, love based thoughts more frequently a part of my thought processes, my life started to change. Things started to magically just happen for me the way that I envisioned them and wanted them to. When I learned that I could actually think about a situation, close my eyes, create the situation in my mind using all of my physical senses in my mind to experience it as real, these things would just started to appear. And you never really know how they're going to appear. The universe has a lot of gears and it can turn anyone to give you anything because the universe is not going to run out of money. It's not going to run out of resources. It's not going to run out of food. It's not going to run out of anything because there is more than enough atoms of energy in this matrix that we live in to become anything and everything that you could possibly imagine. There is nothing you can imagine that you can't have. But fear says there is. So that's why today's topic is fear, because we really, thank you, Estelle. I appreciate that. Um, uh, I want today's topic to be about fear because that is the only thing keeping any of us from where we want to be. So I'd like to give you my ideas on overcoming this and also share the spotlight with any of you who have any any fear ass kicking strategies that you'd like to share with the rest of the group or with the rest of the audience. Feel free to either read your, leave a comment and I'll read your comment out, or call in when I open up the phone in a little bit. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and post a phone number in the comments and read it out to you guys. And if anybody wants to call in, you can definitely do that. And oh, 1 second. My phone died. So let's give that a minute to charge up while we get a little more conversation out of the way. So MJ, Shy Bass Angel, says, preach. So woke for real. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. We have a few more viewers now. Oh, hey, Stephanie. I didn't even see you walk in the room. Girl, how you doing? Good to see you. Yes, law of attraction, always a good topic. Definitely, right? Um, so so basically, man, when it comes to the law of attraction and what I like to just get, when I like to get to just the heart of the matter, let's get to the meat of this, so to speak, is law of attraction is magic, because most people don't, even the one I know, even though a lot of people who've heard of it and who tried to use it, but to really wrap your head around it and understand it means that you are going to be consciously using this 24/7 and make it a part of who you are. And if you don't do that, then you don't really understand the law of attraction, and you don't understand your consciousness's power and in the power that is in your emotions. So I want to try to make sure that by the end of this episode we have enough information, strategies and methods that people can use to try to uh, coerce themselves to attach appreciation to their thinking and their thoughts more than fear. That's the point of today's show. So any help with that from any of you guys is more than welcome. Please leave it in the comments and I'll definitely read it out to everybody. And let's see here. We got some messages. So Benny said, I like to utilize. I see. Oh, and what do you like to utilize? I didn't catch exactly when you said that. Scott Tender said, once you start seeing your desires manifest from thoughts of love, the fear will disappear. This is exactly true. And that's what I was trying to get at a little while ago when I mentioned putting the little stickers on my steering wheel and all over the house and my desk and everything, because I needed to constantly be reminded that I need to be appreciating. And the more I did it, the more I started to see things get better and better and better. And the more things get better, the more things start to materialize the way I visualize them, the more confidence and faith I had in my ability to create what I want. And the more you do this, the more you make those things come that you would like to create. The more you see them, the more uh, deprogramming you do to the fear-based limits in yourself. Because let's suppose, for example, you use the law of attraction to bring, just for example, a new car. You wanted a brand new car. You didn't know how you was gonna get it. You only make 2-3 thousand a month at work. It barely covers the rent and food, and then you don't have a lot of extra money, but you want a new car. It is not impossible for you to have that car and have it soon. And you don't. And the first thing that people say, well, is how's that gonna happen? Well, magic, motherfucker. It's real. It's the law of attraction, and it's magic. It's really science. It's science to a master or to a god or a demigod that understands how this works and has the consciousness power to wrap their entire mind around it and see the process in action. It's not magic, it's science at that point, because you get it, you see it working, and you understand the math and the science involved. But to someone who doesn't get that yet, it's magic, motherfucker. Real shit. This is magic. So let's look at it like this. You got this visualization in your head of you want a new car. Now, we talked about how you have to feel the appreciation for it before it manifests. You don't wait till it manifests and now, oh, I appreciate this. It's not how it works. That's gratitude in hindsight. Moving forward, it has to be appreciation. So you don't want to feel gratitude for something that you are hoping to get. Gratitude is for something that has happened. You want to feel appreciation for having this now. And the degree, this is Jericho Spitz's first law of the law of attraction. The degree to which you can feel the emotion of appreciation for what you are visualizing in your mind and making real by experiencing it in your mind with your senses, your physical senses, but in your mind. The degree to which you are able to feel the emotion of appreciation for that is directly proportionate to how fast and how accurately it will manifest in your life. And it's really as simple as that. It really is that simple. The problem with most people's use of the law of attraction, though, is the topic of today's show, fear. Because when you have this visualization in your mind and you spend, a minute or 2 or 5 minutes meditating on this and making this visualization real in your mind and feeling appreciation for it, and then you say to yourself, well, I'm done now. I did it. I'm gonna let it go and let's see what the universe do its thing. It's gonna get me this new car. And then what you do, you go to work. You go to work the next day, you're sitting in your job, and you're just like hating this job. I only make like $20 an hour. It's not enough to live in Chicago with all the high prices of everything. What am I gonna do, man? And you start to self-doubt and you start to think about, dude, there's no fucking way I'm gonna get a new car. Come on, really? Who's gonna give me a new car? And then what you start doing by doing that is you start limiting what the universe can do for you. The universe is going to give you what your dominant thoughts are resting on. And so if you spend 2 minutes, 5 minutes meditating about this new car that you want, and you feel it and you're feeling all good about it, and you can smell the new leather and you can feel the steering wheel in your fingers, and you can you can see the shine gleaming off the paint job, and you smell the engine running. You can just feel the engine running all smooth, and you got this perfect car, this perfect brand new car in your mind. And you're thinking about it and you feel an appreciation, and you spend 5 minutes doing that. But you sit at work for 8 hours. And maybe you spend only 20 minutes of that 8 hours thinking about how fucked up my life is right now. How I don't have enough of this, or I don't have enough of that, or how am I going to pay for this? And I ain't getting no car. You basically cripple your creative effort by focusing more on a spirit of lack than a spirit of having. But if you were to go walk into work appreciating that I have a job, there are people out here who do not have a job. There are people out here who do not have anything. So to not appreciate your job, no matter how much you view it as a sucky job, cripples your creative effort. If you can't appreciate where you are, then it's impossible to rise above that. If you can't appreciate having a job that pays $20 an hour, then how can you feel appreciation for a job that pays $40 an hour? You'll never have that $40 an hour job because you can't even appreciate the $20 an hour job. And what you have to do is make your dominant thoughts about your job appreciative. Make it that, make every emotion you attach to any conversation or even thoughts about your job, make them appreciative, grateful. I am loving where I'm at right now. Thoughts, because if you are not able to do that, then you cannot create anything better than that for your life. So what you do is to have this car, you walk into work and you are thankful for your job. You're thankful for waking up today. First of all, I got a healthy body and limbs. I can run, I can breathe, I can go swimming if I want. Let's be thankful for all of these things and stay in that thought pattern of gratitude. And now you tell your boss when you walk in, hey, I'm getting a new car. And believe it. And don't say it as a joke. Say, I'm getting a new car. And your boss is going to say, whoa, you getting a second job? I heard you weren't doing too good. No, I just, blessings are coming. And know that you have blessings coming. And don't ever doubt. And if anything comes up, any conversation about a car, make sure you, even if you don't chime in on the conversation and say something vocally about how you will be getting a car, at least have the thought. Just say thank you and feel yourself in that car. Make that your pattern of thought on a daily basis, no matter what, and don't let anything shake it. And now our logic and our cognitive mind, with all of our scientific education, says, well, I'm probably not going to get a car because I'm not earning enough to buy it. And if you don't know anyone who's going to go just buy you a new car, give you a new car, then most people are going to be thinking to themselves that it's impossible for the universe to do this for me. And if you think that it is, then guess what? It is. And it'll never happen for you. But on the flip side, if you are able to let nothing into your mind with regard to this car that is anything other than gratitude or appreciation, if you're able to do this, the universe will show you just how magical it is. It will bring you a brand new car so fast it'll make your head spin. And the thing is, and what makes it always a mind-blowing experience is that you never know how it's going to come to you. So that's one of the reasons why it's really, really important to, while using the law of attraction, not allow your logical mind and your education provide any help or assistance to the universe other than you feeling appreciation. Don't try to wonder what routes are available that this gift may come to you. Don't try to say, well, hell, I only know one car dealer, so it's got to come from him. And then now you limit what the universe can do for you. Now you limit it. Now what if maybe it's a little harder to get it that way. It might take longer, might not be so precise, might not be the exact car that you envisioned in your mind. But if you want that exact car that you envisioned in your mind, then it's really as simple as knowing it's yours. Because if you don't know that, then how can you create it? How can you have faith if you don't know? You have to make it real in your mind, because when you are visualizing in your mind with your eyes closed, you have a third eye in here called your pineal gland, and it is light sensitive and it can see color. And the color of your car will be known to it while you are envisioning this car. So what you'd like to do is you would like to make the visualization of this car as real can be. Like you have to feel the car with your hands, not these hands, your astral hands. I've mentioned this on a previous episode. I went through exactly how to do this. And I can never emphasize too much how important it is to use every physical sense you have to feel it. Lick the car, lick the seat, taste the paint, make it make it real in your mind. And if you can do that and feel appreciation and know that it's yours, your magic, your creative power that was given to you by the divine creator who created your consciousness, it will be yours. That is yours. That is your gift. That is your birthright. Your birthright is to be a creator made in the image and likeness of the creator. So you are a creator as well. And it's really a matter of removing the fear based limits and all of the wild, untamed, crazy beating around the bush that your mind will do or attempt to do to thwart what you're trying to create, because your mind has been programmed in such a way that it's difficult for people to think outside of the box. It is difficult for people to think that something that they don't understand the science behind could actually be possible. But I can promise you this: humans have been intelligent for a long time. Yeah, we have a little technology now and everything, but in the past, in eons past, we have had way much higher technology on this planet. We have so much evidence to show this and prove this. I don't even have to go into the explanation of that, but just know that, we're not at our height of technology right now. We have been higher than this in the past. And uh, we're at a place now where we can move forward into a future that is dominated by controllers, or we can make the effort to rise in consciousness, enough of us to not fight anything that's happening now, but to create a new culture on this planet, a new world to live in, where the things that we don't appreciate about today's culture are no longer even allowed to exist, because we're all vibrating so high that that low vibrational stuff exists in the ethers and can affect us. But fear says that we can't do that. Fear says that nope, there's a vice grip over humanity. We have big oil, big money, banking cartels. We have so many things controlling us that are shoving fear in our face. And we have so many millions and millions of examples on TV and in Hollywood showing that these things cannot be overcome, that this is how you have to act when you're in this situation, because that's just how it is and you can't get around that. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's bullshit. And you can do anything you want to do. Anything that you can envision in your mind and feel enough appreciation for will be yours, and that is the law. That is the whole of the law. That's all of the law. That is the law. Now, what you do with the law is on you. There's also a law of karma that goes along with how you use the law of attraction and how you even think. So, I mean, I'm definitely not here to um, put put in the hands of anyone who's not worthy tools that will allow them to harm themselves and harm their karma. But I believe that it's information, and most people that are actually here and actually watching and listening to this show have enough information about karma and about the law of attraction that you probably wouldn't abuse it. So I don't really have any issue putting it out on YouTube or Facebook. Some of the more esoteric things that I've learned that will give you a head start or jump starts, with regard to using your power, your own personal power of the law of attraction in what some may see as magical ways. I would like to help as many people as possible learn their power and learn faster ways to manifest things, learn more specific and uh, learn ways to manifest exactly what you want when you want it. There's ways to do this, and I have some ideas, and I don't mind sharing them. So anyone who has ideas along these lines that they'd like to share as well, I mean, the more the merrier. But I will always, let people know that as we go through this learning dialogue together, where we share ideas and we all grow and learn different things, I want to make sure that people are aware that your mind is very powerful, and that when you get into higher states of consciousness or higher states of awareness, especially any that are chemically induced or shamanic technology, shamanic technology induced, that you need to basically you need to protect yourself. You need to be um, aware of what exists in other dimensions, and and how these entities and different things can affect you. And I feel like until you have that education, you might want to steer clear of actually adding any of these substances to your body until you feel like you are ready to get to that level, and you know that um, your heart is pure, and you're moving in love and light, and which is really all the protection that most of us would need, especially on just a general ceremony. But long story short, as we get into the law of attraction and removing the fears, one of the things that I like to point out is that, as I spoke about in the last episode, that using dimethyltryptamine and also using it for such an extended period of time while I was researching did a lot for me as far as moving the boundaries of what I thought to be possible. It allowed me to see the world, the universe, the matrix, if you will, all of the agents and everything in it in a way that I was never quite able to see before. So it did a lot to remove some of the fear and allow me easier to program myself with appreciative thoughts on a daily or more frequent basis. So, hi Gloria, nice to see you. Thanks for coming by. Monique said one must first wrap their brain around how powerful one is for manifestation to even happen. This is true. Like I said, if you don't believe that it's possible for you to have that new car, guess what? You're not going to get a new car. So definitely believing um, is uh, believing the right things and not the wrong things helps. But what I'd like to do is actually get beyond the word belief. A wise man, I believe his name is Gandhi, once uh, said in a speech that I heard, he said um, that, oh wow, I just kind of drew a blank real quick. Uh, oh yeah, about belief. He said that if you, like, he said, I don't believe anything. I either know it or I don't know it. And when I heard that, it was a very, very profound thought to me. It's like I can believe the sky is, silver right now, and I walk outside and it's not, and I was wrong. You can believe something and be wrong, but to know it, to know that it's truth, it's absolute truth, is the only thing that I will stand on and rest on. So for you to have that car, that brand new car that you're trying to manifest, you have to, as you're visualizing it and experiencing it, you have to not believe that it's yours or believe that it's real. You have to know that it is real. And when you know something, the rest of your operating system and all of the education in it, all of the facts will now support this new fact. And finding ways to facilitate that process is the key to programming and reprogramming yourself, is making all of your everything on your computer has to support this new software you installed. I installed this new software that says appreciation on a system that's all filled with fear and limitations and anger and hate and all of these emotions. Now, how how solid this new software is with regard to its math will determine how easy it is for the rest of what's on the computer that doesn't support this to be deleted or put in temp folders where it can't be accessed because it's no longer needed anymore, because it's been replaced by a higher math. And love is the highest math there is. So finding ways to facilitate that would really behoove anyone who's learning how to use the law of attraction, or, for lack of a better word, trying to be a more powerful magician. Same shit. I just don't get the difference, and I don't see why we need all the millions of different titles and everything, because every title has something that has a negative connotation to somebody. So if you say, "Oh, I'm a wizard," oh my God, he's a wizard, or she's a witch, or he's a preacher, or he's a shaman, or all of these different labels are all people who are doing the same thing, trying to move towards higher consciousness. And there's a lot of different avenues, a lot of different ways to go, a lot of paths and ways you can walk to get there. But the bottom line is, love is where they all started. There is no religion that did not start with love. And now a whole lot of different ideas about what love is has been built up and piled on top of some of these uh, cultural views of love. But for me personally, um, love is no limits. Giving of yourself to something or someone without requiring anything in return, and doing it because you want to do it and it makes you happy to do that, that is love. And with that, I am going to, my phone's on now, open up the phone line. Okay, if you look into the comment section, you will see a new phone number up right now. It is 312-834-3420. And if anybody wants to call in and hear their voice on the THC show, please have something consciousness related, fear based, or something regarding fear, and how any methods of how people can overcome having fear as their dominant thought. If anybody wants to add anything about that in particular to the conversation, you're invited, or just anything about THC or talking higher consciousness in general. The phone line is now open, and you can call in whenever you're ready. I will keep talking until we get a phone call. Hey, Gloria, I know you're a wizard, but I thought you were a witch. um, let's see. So, with all of this being said, I want to suggest to some people a few things along the way that helped me while I was overcoming fear, and overcoming fear being my dominant mode of thought. I read The Secret a long time ago, and I definitely remember um, one of the things that struck me about the book was that it had some very profound insights, but it didn't leave me feeling like I had enough of the tools necessary to alter my reality into what I wanted it to be. I didn't feel like I had all the tools necessary. I felt like I was on the right track, but it wasn't expounded on enough for me. So I ran across a book called The Master Key about this thing. um, and that's where I got some of the insights into how important it is to use all of your five physical senses in your visualizations, and creating the visualization with as much detail as possible so that it's more easily believed to be real by your mind. And this book, The Master Key, has a lot of exercises in it that also helped me on my way to removing those fears, and to showing and for showing went a long way as to showing me how powerful my mind is. But there are so many tiny little unique mind tricks that you can do to trick yourself into thinking or knowing that something is real in your mind. And with that comes a more accurate, more detailed, more successful, and efficient use of the law of attraction, or an efficient or more productive use of magic. So, we haven't got any phone calls or anything yet, so maybe I'm just gonna keep talking. Gloria says, haha. That's what they all think. I mean, come on, do we know you're a witch? Simple as that. But how powerful of a witch is the question. Miss your girl, hope all is well. Hope all is well. Life is treating you good. And congrats on the baby again. So, let's see, how far have I went into the show so far? I've went about 50 minutes into the show. I think what I'm gonna do, if nobody calls in soon, is I'm probably gonna wrap up today's show pretty soon, And I think I'm going to go out with another piece of poetry. Oh, well, go ahead and call if you want, Gloria. If you have any questions or you want to just talk about anything or give your 2 cents on fear and its limits and how it limits us. I'd love to have any comments. 312-834-3420. The lines are open. So I guess the bottom line here now is that fear is the only thing that limits any of us from being what we want to be. So removing the fear is removing the limit. And it's really that simple. I don't believe that there's anything that a human being can imagine in their mind and not make real. Nothing at all. I don't care how impossible science says it is. I don't care how impossible religion or God says it is or anything else. If you can imagine it, it's real. Hello, Gloria. How are you?
Hold on. Are we live or not?
We are live on the THC Show.
Oh, okay. Is there a delay?
Yeah, there's probably a little delay because it's all live and it's the internet. It's not perfect. Turn your TV down.
Okay. So there's a delay. That's why.
Yeah, but if you just talk to me and don't listen to your TV, then it'll all be synced up right when I put out the YouTube version of it with the edits.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. So I just call in and say hi. How are you?
I am doing excellent. How have you been? I haven't seen you in a couple of years.
Well, taking care of the kid and stuff. Yeah.
True. I see
Can't
it.
have much of a social life.
I definitely understand that. I mean, you're always welcome to come out to Chicago to the lake with me and one of my kids, and I'm out. I go out a lot, take my daughter to the lake and stuff. I want to say big shout out to my guy, Big Rap. I see you, Quaco. What's good with you, fam? Thanks for joining, man. Always good to have you. Them good, powerful consciousness conversations with this guy, man. Real intelligent dude, real educated dude. I've been knowing this guy for 20 years. He ain't never steered me wrong. Good to see you here, man. But anyway, Gloria, did you have anything that you wanted to discuss that you wanted to add to the dialogue here with regards to fear and the use of a law of attraction and how it limits us or anything like that? Or just wanted to just talk in general?
Yeah, I can say a couple things. Thanks for having me on. The first thing I want to say is about the witch and wizard stuff. I see a lot of people online now claiming, witches and doing spells for people online now and looking in crystal balls and all this stuff. And it's interesting, and it's stuff I dabbled in when I was in high school and stuff like that. But I actually don't even know the source, but I study and read a lot, I'm sure you know. But I don't know where all this witch business comes from, but everyone loves calling it. I never claimed to be a witch, a bitch, yeah. No. But they say that like spells and like those tangible things that people use, like wands and rituals, it's kind of like kindergarten. If you're advanced, you don't need those things.
I agree.
Okay. That's just need to get that off my chest. That's just like so basic. Like if you're a powerful manifestor or magician or whatever you want to call yourself, first of all, you don't give yourself labels and I think it's all I'm a witch. It's so ego, isn't it? Like
I agree.
Call yourself that.
I agree. Ego should not have any part in magic.
Why do you have to label yourself something? Why do you have to box yourself into this stereotype or someone else's opinion or just to name the word, the label? You don't. We all have power. all have things that we haven't tapped into or honed into. So for me, it's when I hear that kind of stuff, I think it's kind of basic. And I actually heard another source say that using all these kind of tangible things that we focus our energy on religious things and icons, and it's a way to focus our energy. But for people who don't really know how to use their energy, they need those things.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're there where you can just think of something and it happens, you don't need to do those things. You don't need to call yourself a witch or a wizard, you know? So that's kind of where I want to get into, like, your manifestation talk and your spirit talk and all that.
True. Okay, well I want to comment on that for a second.
Okay.
I agree with you that once someone is actually at the point where they have evolved their consciousness to a point where matter in its solid state is no longer unmovable to them, so to speak, they don't really need anything matter or solid like a crystal or a wand or a device or anything like that, or even a candle to use their manifestation power. I agree with you 100% on that. But as an addendum, as an add-on to that, I'd like to elaborate on that and go so far as to say that there is still a very, very real, a very, very practical, and in my opinion, a very necessary need or use, rather, for some magic items. And
that's why it's called practical magic.
Yeah, because, well, for one thing, it's not necessarily just about having, like, say, a wand. It sometimes what people need is to ritualize things. It allows people to put more faith into something when you make it into a ritual that you believe the ritual is giving more power to what you are doing. Then I think that it would help in that sense. I don't think that it's 100% absolutely necessary to have the ritual in order to make what you're trying to achieve happen. But I do see the power in ritual. And I don't subscribe to anyone's ritual and make it my own in the exact same way that I learned it from anyone. I don't believe in doing someone else's ritual. And
we don't want to use it as a crutch.
Yeah,
and
not
you don't want to, like, rely on faith, rely on crystals, rely on your tarot card.
You don't do that. Yeah, you don't. It's a tool, and if you can use it, definitely use it, but don't feel powerless without it, I think is what you're trying to say.
Sure, but the problem is that it goes along with linear thinking. And when we're stuck in linear thinking, like, I do this and this will happen.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of goes against what you're talking about, our manifestation and letting go of the fear. See, fear holds us into linear thinking.
I agree.
Okay. So when the multi-dimensional universe is not linear in any way. And once you get out of that linear construct, then you can start seeing how things can manifest.
Agreed.
I just think there's so much more to that. It's a huge topic.
It definitely isn't a topic that can be thoroughly investigated on a 1-hour show, but it's a topic that we can come back to again and again and again as we have this ongoing dialogue about higher consciousness, because you can't get into higher consciousness without addressing what we're talking about right now on a very thorough basis.
Okay, so let me just touch on the fear.
Please do.
And that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I used to live in fear, and we have the society has set up a lot. First of all, they keep us imprisoned.
They do.
With fear, okay? And almost by instilling that emotion and instability, they can control us. So I know that it's hard to let go of fear and worry, and the Power of Now is really a great book. Eckhart Tolle about kind of just not worrying about the future, but it's hard not to, right?
True.
Your job can fire you at any moment. Market can crash. You can get into a car. Anything can happen at any moment. You can live in fear. Will I get sick and lose my job? Will I lose my home? It can happen.
Especially if you
Look
think.
what just happened.
Especially if you live in fear and have fearful dominant thoughts, then you're probably going to experience a lot more negative things happening to you like that. It can happen, and it will. And this is not to say that if you focus on positive things 99% of the time that life can't throw something negative your way, but almost in every instance since my mind became dominated with more love-based appreciative thoughts than negative thoughts, since that change was made in my life, I have not had one thing negative happen to me at all that was not the catalyst for something better and greater, and I couldn't have had the better, greater thing without the negative little stepping stone. So not allowing...
That's exactly what I was about to say, is that let's just say you're worried about losing your job, or you did lose your job, and now you're worried about getting another job, and you think you're not going to find one, and the worry is holding you back. But in my life, I'm not that old, but I'm not that young. But in my life, I've noticed that I lose something, and I'm always so distraught about it. And I start, worrying and going crazy about it. But always, it's moved me on to something bigger, something better. And my life has moved forward in some way. So it's all in how we perceive things and how we see things, death even, the loss of things, all these different things that we are afraid of losing material things. Even a relationship is a material thing that we're afraid to lose. So it's how you see it. If you see it as a loss, then you're going to remain in that fear-based construct. But if you see it as, it's a catalyst for something better, something new, something different, then you have to hold on to that outlook and try to hold on to it in any way possible. Even in your low, today I had a low day. I'm not going to lie. I was really just in a shitty mood all day, and I was searching, just telling myself, why are you feeling this way? Snap out of it. But I couldn't, and I was like, what's wrong with you?
Just think about those poor village folk,
Yeah, I normally don't feel that way. Sometimes I'll find out that it wasn't my own feeling. If that makes any sense.
Of course,
it
makes sense.
Absorb other people's feelings,
For sure.
And then you find out later, someone else is feeling that way, or it's because of this, it's because of some planetary thing,
for sure,
or some weird stuff happened, or it seems to me like that's kind of how it turns out usually. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you start looking at, I think one of the things that can get you out of fear is one, and I know a lot of people have been seeing synchronicities as of late. I'm talking like
everyone.
Numbers,
Yes,
double digits, triple digits, things happening where you think of someone and they call, or the synchronicity. And I don't have to run down the list, but a lot of people have been going through that kind of stuff. So it's one of those types of things that maybe even dispel the fear.
For sure.
Because, am I on the right path? You see triple digits. Look it up, see what it means.
For sure.
Maybe I am on the right path. They're kind of like little reassurances.
I can elaborate on this all day. I want to
couple scratch tickets today using numbers, just doing the same numbers I always do and always win. Like, it's crazy. I mean, I don't do that for greed, you know what I mean? But I do it here and there, you know, just, and it's like, it's amazing when I see it happen today. Like, I had 2 people pick numbers and I added it with my number and bam, won. And then I bought another ticket with that one at another number that was on a receipt I had like right after that, and then won $50. It was just like, you just follow it. It's really
right. You start following your numbers, you start following the breadcrumbs, and
higher math.
And there's books written about numerology now and what it all means. And maybe your spirit guides are communicating with you, your angels are communicating with you. It can even set you to see that you're on the right path, or maybe you're on the wrong path, or something's about to happen. You start seeing 555, and you have a tower moment. Something happens. Oh, so it's almost if you can start predicting things.
Yeah.
And something that's been happening to me just lately is, besides the synchronicities, I'm just learning to follow them and figure out what they all mean. But it's like, it's the craziest thing, to tell you the truth.
It's really...
it boggles my mind how these things even happen. But more and more lately, once you really kind of, I don't know, snap into it, I guess, or figure out how these things work, how manifestation actually works. It's like I have a question that needs to be answered. And the next thing you know, someone is popping up, like a friend that I haven't talked to in years, pops up out of the blue with a family member in that exact situation that will answer my question. Or it has just been happening constantly. It's like almost in the past, then you pray and you need an answer and you search, and it maybe will come later on. You don't make that connection. But lately, it's just I snap my fingers and I get an answer. That's manifestation right there. Yeah. You're manifesting an answer for yourself. And it's like, not just a car, not just a material thing or a new job or a partner or whatever. Let's forget those things. How about answers?
For sure. Something you can keep forever.
And I think in those understandings, those things help dispel the fear.
For sure. I agree 100%.
Because what are we afraid of? We're afraid about material things in our material world. But when you start to see that this material world is an illusion, and I use those words so lightly because you can just go into why it is an illusion. But when you realize that and you realize what really matters, I guess matter doesn't matter.
I agree. As above, so below. So I try to create it up here, and it usually manifests.
I'm not trying to be all witchy here, and I never.
After this conversation, some people are gonna know you. After this conversation, like, some people are gonna know that you're a witch. So I mean, by just the definition of, if someone who says I think I can use my mind to change matter, by definition, that makes you a witch, and from a lot of people's perspectives. But see, for me, it's like this here. You have white witches and you have black witches, and I don't mean this by race. I mean, you have light and dark, and you have like evil and good witches. And if you want to call me a witch, call me whatever, but at least I know I'm a witch of love, I'm a witch of light, and I don't do negative magic.
That's the thing. I never called myself one. Other people call me that, so, and they must think that, I don't know, that I can make things happen. Maybe I can. I sort of believe it. But it's like what you said. You have to say that this is what's going to happen. I am going to do this. And it didn't happen. If you believe it. If you truly, truly believe it. That's the thing.
If you can muster the emotion of appreciation for it already being done. You feel me?
Yes. I know what you're saying. Like, instead of, for example, when you pray for something, okay, the act of praying for something is admitting that you are lacking.
No. Check it out. Let's go back and let's analyze let's define what it means to pray. Hey, what's up, cuz? I see Darius. What up, DS? Goodness, thanks for joining me, fam. You're right in the middle of a good conversation right now. When someone prays, do you ever recall hearing someone say before dinner, like, let us give thanks? Right? Instead of saying let's pray. Yeah. So in order to have actual appreciation for something, you have to have it. You can't appreciate something that you don't have yet. So it's an oxymoron. So that's the key. So that's the key, is learning how to muster appreciation for something that you are creating, so that you have the appreciation for it. That is what makes it real. You know, on the last episode, excuse me, I mentioned Hebrews. I mentioned the biblical definition of what love is. I mean, what faith is, you know, and I'm just going to go with right now the New International Version. But actually, no, you know what? I'm going to read the King James Version of this, because I want that to be a part of this conversation as well as the last episode. But what is faith? Faith is a substance. It is something that is real, and you can muster that, and that is the key to magic. That is the key to your creation power. Now, Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So to have evidence or substance, you can't have that for something that isn't real. So having that making it real in your mind, that is the substance and the evidence, and it will manifest if you have that faith, that substance. And to have that is to appreciate it, because appreciation is the only emotion that says, I have something. You feel me?
Gratitude, right? Appreciation.
And without,
so when me and my son would, we didn't do prayers. I said we do our blessings, and we bless people. We give thanks, but we never say, God, please send us such and such, or give me this, or give me that, or ask for anything. We don't ask for anything. Because I teach my son, he's 6, by the way, I teach him to live without, no poverty mentality,
no spirit of lack.
Live beneath our means, and we have no spirit of lack. That's right. We have a spirit of abundance, and our abundance is our love, and we don't need this. I don't teach him materialism, that's not what we're about. And I mean, he's a pretty smart kid, but I do think so. I just feel people need to, the earth is shifting. We're going into this new earth, and consciousness is shifting. And I think part of that is getting away from this materialistic, consumeristic mentality. And if we just realize what's important in life.
I agree.
And the biggest risk I see is, for example, my parents and me. We have such a different, outlook on life. It's like they are very materialistic. They grew, came up in the 80s where it was like all about consumerism and rich and keeping up with the Joneses and who had the most money and competing with their friends. And it's like, in the end, you don't have all that. That's not what's important in the end. In the end,
true.
It's what you end up is with what your relationships are, because you can't take none of that with you, right? So if you worked your whole life to make enough money to have a big house and a nice car, but you didn't spend time with your family, and in the end, you don't have your family, you have nothing, because you're not going to have that big house in the end. You can't forget the fear about losing your house and losing your car, because all those things can get lost.
Easily.
Material things can get lost at any moment. We can't have attachment to that. You should be fearing if your daughter doesn't want to talk to you. That's a problem.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm so glad mine.
You know, and their thing is you have to do what we told you to do, live the way we want you to live, be who we want you to be, or we don't show you affection or have some resentment towards you, whatever it is their ridiculous, opinion is. Because you didn't turn out the way they wanted you to turn out. It's like ridiculous. Not everyone's like this, obviously, but that's kind of like the old mentality, old paradigm, and that's where we come from. And it's almost like even now, colleges are completely different. Kids think that college is not even worth it anymore.
I mean, I have my own thoughts about that in particular. I think that there's a lot of jobs that you don't need college for at all, personally. But like that you used to.
The system is set up to make you owe them money and not teach you anything really, and you get a skill.
I mean, there's nothing that you can learn in college that you can't learn online for free. I won't say that, but like for the most part, almost anything that you can learn in college, you can learn online for free. So you don't need college. If you have,
honestly, our values are changing. Where a degree used to be a very valuable thing, but look what happened. Kids go to college for 4 years. All they do is drink and do drugs. They don't even study. They barely pass, and they still can't get a job out of college. They're still sleeping on mom and dad's couch. So what happened? Our economy went to shit. So our old paradigms don't fit into this new economy even. So our values are shifting on their own. It's like, really, what is it important? What's important? That you have a good relationship, a good loving family that communicates, or that you're able to tell your friends who may or may not be your friends in a couple of years that, oh yeah, Johnny's married with 2.5 kids and a big house in the suburbs and a great job at, this IT company or whatever. It's like bragging rights, right? I mean, I guess that's my issue right now. It's like, that's materialism. And the problem is, it's like, when you don't get that, there's fear. It's like, fear over what? People's opinions?
That's a very, very big barrier for most people. One of the biggest.
The old paradigm. We need to move out of that fear-based paradigm, material-based paradigm.
That was the whole point of today's show. The main topic was fear and how it boxes us in and limits us from being able to create what we do want for ourselves. And you're 100% accurate, in my opinion, on what we need to be trying to focus on, and that's getting more and more people to remove above fear. The problem is that we have fear, and we are being bombarded with fear from so many different angles and on so many different levels on a daily, on a second by second basis for most people. Like it's really hard to work against that kind of magic for most people who don't even realize that magic is being used against them, if you will. A science that they don't understand is being used to box them in. And
my God. And all this like Luciferian stuff and it's coming out. It's like, they just go to the next thing. What is the next thing to scare people? And every 20 to 30 years, they come out with this Satanist stuff, and I mean, even in this, I can go on and on about religion, but it's like even alternative news sources and speakers, it's interesting because they still carry that deep down inside, even though they act like they don't.
Mm-hmm.
These belief systems are with faith, like you said, the faith, hope is hoping for something that you don't actually have. And religions are something, they are fear-based.
Everything is.
So
Everything that's handed down to us that is a part of our culture. Not everyone, but most of us. It's
that's exactly.
it's
I
all
was going to ask you, so where does fear come
to
from?
keep you boxed in to be like one of us, you know? It's, I mean, I don't believe that culture is inherently a bad thing. And I mean any culture. I'm not picking anyone out. I think that most cultures, and not all, but most cultures on this planet have become, imbued with too much fear, and it needs to be, in my opinion, um, more focused on love and confidence and appreciation, you know, and education and wisdom, you know, because I mean, I don't think that people should I think that people should focus more on love and not war. Does that mean that we shouldn't be able to defend ourselves? No, we should be able to defend ourselves,
Yeah,
but
but love doesn't pay the bills. War does. That's the thing.
no, war kills resources and kills people. It doesn't pay. Yeah, it doesn't pay our bills. It pays the bills of fat cats' pockets. It lines fat cats' pockets. Yeah, and that's, you know, I mean, a lot of my family,
war has always been an economy stimulator.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, always.
But it's
I mean,
it's a political thing. You know, politics is what it creates fear, control. Fear is a product of control. Control is necessary. It was necessary to get where we are. I mean, look at the technology strides we've made in the last 60 years.
Some people
out of fear.
Some people believe that it's a stride in technology to be able to have a cell phone that emits 5G radiation at your brain, that, you know, that some people believe that to have that communicate my thought to you is the height of technology. To me, the way trees interact with each other is a much more efficient and less damaging communication technique or method. And I think I think that's much higher technology. You know, we look at things like human beings are we might be the height of technology in this universe, as some people believe, but I believe that we are all consciousness, and consciousness exists in everything. And
yeah, but start telling people that you communicate with them telepathically, and they look at you like you're bonkers.
Then you let them keep using cell phones and killing themselves, and we'll try to let the rest of humanity that understands that telepathy is real, and that we're being poisoned so that we can't use our natural ability. But once enough of us get it back, there will be no stopping the spread of the knowledge of how to get that back.
But here we are using technology.
Yes, because we're still we're at the tip of the iceberg. We're at the tip of the iceberg of this cultural shift right now. I mean, we can all see it. Look, 10 years ago, you know, I'd say DMT to 100 people, and maybe like one of them might have tried it before, and they only did it once. And maybe 10 people had heard the word before. 90 people out of 100 had never heard the term before 10 years, 12 years ago when I first did it. You know, but like in
and you 10 would never hear that it's actually treating anything.
Say that again?
You would never hear about these things.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh no, that was just beyond. Yeah, it was illegal almost to even mention something that that would harm a pharmaceutical company's bottom line because of a psychedelic. You know.
But in the 90s, email was just coming out. The internet was just coming out. And a lot of this information is because we have so much communication that's going around so fast. It's amazing. Yeah. So I guess what I wanted to say about our technology and why it's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
That this is hard to explain, okay, but we're talking about telepathy and different kinds of communication, and maybe even 20, 30 years ago, the common person would not understand, genetic sequencing or cloning. They wouldn't even understand that kind of terminology or ideas.
True.
Right?
Right.
Now, you can buy for less than $150 this DNA splicer thing, what is it called? CRISPR or something like that.
Not sure.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is that all this technology that we're using, it's preparing us for the next step, so that we can, when the bomb is dropped on us, that we're going to be able to comprehend these things. Oh yeah, oh I get, telepathy. Oh, I get why this works. Oh, I get frequencies and free energy or genetic mutation, or I get these DNA cloning or whatever the future might bring, or even the information of our past, our history, like how we got here, why are we here? 30 years ago, you say, oh, we're here because we were genetically mutated, or our second chromosome was fused with primates, and we're here because of not a genetic mutation, but actually a genetic
experimentation.
like someone fused it, made us, what's the word? I'm losing the word right now, but cloning or hybrid. We're a hybrid, we're not even. Aliens made us. Oh, but I can understand that concept because I have a home DNA splicer. I can do it myself. They understand that technology is here.
Oh yeah. I mean, the military had that 50 years ago or more. But yeah. But if
it's comprehensible to people.
I mean,
you understand?
yeah.
So that's why we need this technology to get to that certain point where you can get it, So when we hopefully move out of the old, we're supposed to be at that end of this age, moving into the Aquarian age. And we actually passed the moment of, are we going to be obliterated or survive? And we actually passed that benchmark.
Yeah.
So maybe, we advance. I mean, you're like talking light years ahead of most people here, so, and not everyone is so readily experimenting with DMT that they can even get that kind of stuff.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. That's what this dialogue is all about. It's about people learning. I'm not here to try to convince anybody to do anything that they don't want to do or shouldn't do, or to do anything illegal. I mean, please fly to Brazil if you want to do ayahuasca. Don't do it yourself at home in your kitchen and go to jail for it and say, hey, this guy told me to do it. That's not what I'm trying to do here. What I'm saying is that, yes, we are evolving, and we are evolving fast, in my opinion. And the more people who learn about some of these things that most people don't know about, that do things like what I'm doing, or write songs about it, or do TV shows about it, or paint paintings about it, or write poems about it, make some music, make some art about this information, and make people understand that fear is in your mind. Write a song that makes someone wake up and realize, damn, fear is only in my mind. Do that. The more of us that do that, the faster this process is going to be. And there's a lot of Star Children.
Fear of the unknown.
I'm sorry?
We fear the unknown.
This is true. So
That's why we go to tarot readers, psychics, and priests, and holy people. It's all that mysticism, spirituality that we don't know about, that we try to seek out, especially in our times of hardship. But most of the time, all those paintings, and stories, and songs, and all that, it's fun to look at. It's interesting. It's a great entertainment or distraction, but we are such slaves that it's like most people really find it hard to find time to do even anything healthy for themselves, decide, even take time to like awaken their mind.
I get that, and I agree with you that most people are not, but I do know that in the past 10, 12 years, since I really, really started having an understanding of what consciousness even was, I've noticed a lot more people knowing more about it than people knew about it 10, 11, 12 years ago. And that, to me, says that we are making progress. That's
because there's been a huge, even like literary-wise, a lot of stuff has been published just recently.
For sure, yeah.
I mean, it's amazing the explosion of like spiritual type topics that are coming out. And especially like in food too. Have you noticed that?
What was the last part?
15, 20 years of it in organic and all that stuff. And what I want to say about that is one of the really most important things to like, I think, and not everybody can do it. It's hard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they keep you locked down is with time and money. And the reason wages don't get any higher is because they don't want you to have the time to explore yourself, explore these things, explore your mind. They don't want you to have time for yourself. And if you're working hard to pay your bills and just to get by, you won't have time. And your biological clock is all fucked up. So we need to get away from the chemicals in our food as much as possible, detox as much as possible, try to get really important minerals as much as possible, monatomic gold, phytoplankton, those kinds of things. But also, one of the things that, and like I said, not everybody can do it, okay? But one of the things that really helped me was getting on my own biological rhythms, my own biological clock, sleeping when I want to sleep, working when I want to work, that sort of thing. Instead of like the grueling, 9 to 5, 7 to 6, whatever it is.
I know, yeah.
Oh my God, I was so depressed doing that.
Same here.
So it's almost like the economic recession and the company shutting down, and it was like a blessing. I mean, yeah, it was scary. Fuck it. I decided not to be scared. I decided, fuck it, I'm going to throw a rave party after 15 years. Who cares if no one's doing it? Who cares if I can't? I'm going to do it. I wasn't. You gotta let go of that fear. That is so important.
Yeah.
You can't. Nothing will happen if you anything holding it back, even your subconscious. And maybe there's steps to getting there.
Yeah.
It's not.
There's definitely steps to getting there, but it's not impossible for anyone. I know that. Because I mean, if I can be where I am now, considering where I was 15 years ago, mentally.
Well, that's the thing. You're a changed person from who I met. When was that? 2009 or 2010, something like that?
Yeah, 08 or 09, maybe. Yeah.
You're like a completely different person.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't talking about this kind of stuff.
I was just learning, just really kind of getting hard into it, It
was funny. I have a funny story about like back in the 90s, right when I first got into the scene. There was my friend. She was from another country, like refugee, kind of, sort of. But I mean, she spoke 5 different languages, and her boyfriend happened to be a black rapper from the South Side, like totally. We're talking gang, like hardcore gang, all that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We had no clue what the heck a house party was. We were like, what the hell is this shit, right? So here we are housing it up. And comes to a rave because we tell him, drop some acid. And he turned out like you.
Good. That's good. That's
started
good.
like all peace and love, completely changed. Like completely changed. I mean, dropped the gang, dropped the gun. I mean, he had a gun, you know, like got rid of the gun. It was all about peace and love and hugs and kisses, and did 100% turnaround. And to this day, just you can still see it on his face. Like,
You know,
I'm a spiritual person, you know, like.
I love when Terrence McKenna says that, you know, he goes on this spiel about how psychedelics, mushrooms, especially, but pretty much any of the major shamanic psychedelics, and even LSD and things like that, how they dissolve boundaries, they remove limits, they remove fears. And if you come up, I'm not sure where this guy was born and raised, but I was, you know, born and, you know, I was raised rather in poverty areas for the most part of my youth. And what we're taught about psychedelics, at least, you know, in the black community, mostly where I was growing up, we're taught that that is something that we should not be, you know, indulging in. That's what white people do. Let them do that, and we just smoke weed and drink, because that's what I did until I was 27 years old. I did nothing but alcohol and smoke weed. I never in my life did a drug until I was 27. Literally.
Oh, man, the alcohol is depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just mean as far
But
as narcotics, you know.
You can let go of alcohol once you do, you know, other things too. But I'm not saying do it like regular. I gave that stuff up. I felt like it was a tool. You learn what you need to learn. You don't do it all the time. I mean, it is a poison. You can mess yourself up, and I've seen that.
Yeah, I don't drink anymore.
You know, but there's a book written now. There's this lawyer. She's this Jewish single mom who's a lawyer, and she wrote this book called A Better Day or One Good Day, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically like was suicidal, and she cured herself by microdosing LSD, and like on a daily basis. And that's what the book is about.
I could see that. I could see microdosing. You know, microdosing LSD would probably fix anyone's life if they wanted to have more. You know, most people. I'd say most people, depending on how they dosed it, you know, how small the dose was, most people wouldn't even feel it. But the extra added cognitive power and mental ability would definitely help most people get out of their situations if they needed help. We actually got to kind of wrap this up,
though. There's something in there that definitely, you know, like you say, opens up your, maybe uses more of your brain power, opens up your pituitary gland, pineal, right? Pineal,
mm-hmm.
Third eye. Of course, obviously, we all know that.
Yeah.
But the fact that, see, the Terrence McKenna stuff, I think a lot of people, even me, it's just too heady. Very hard to understand.
Yeah.
Right? There's not a lot of context. And not a lot of, I mean, he's cool and everything, but it's like, you say that to like regular people, they're going to be like, oh, you know, they're not going to take him seriously. But if you take someone, you know, who's like a functioning member of society with like a regular job, and here they are writing a book about it. Almost like, I mean, a lawyer. Come on, you got to take her. I mean, people got to take her kind of serious, right? I mean, it's just the fact that people are. This stuff is coming out now, and now I'm seeing stuff with MDMA being scientifically studied, like by professionals for depression. So it's interesting to me. I think that things that we knew about and even almost used like as self-medication, you know, now it's coming out to the surface. And ayahuasca too, gosh.
Yeah.
That's all over Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm glad that people are, and it's because you know, all this internet stuff that this knowledge is spreading. So I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I guess we got to kind of wrap this up soon too. But one more thing I wanted to point out about that was that as we are gaining more insights and knowledge about all the various tools that we can use on our path to higher consciousness, I would like to have people very, very cautious and wary of any new technologies that come out that are backed by the system, if you will, because anything that will give individuals any measure of freedom is going to be countered by the vice grip that's already on us. So don't expect that us gaining higher consciousness is not going to be met with a whole lot of friction in the coming years because there's some technologies out now and there's some things out that could give everyone their own personal freedom and ability to create anything that they wanted for their lives. And if too many people, you know, get to that point, then that vice grip isn't going to be holding very tight anymore. So there's going to be some battling going on where the vice grip is going to strike back and clinch harder and try to implement other things like maybe a chip or something that they can electronically emit a signal that can, like, you know, limit what you're able to do consciously. I don't know. I'm just saying that who knows what can be done to limit our ability to access higher consciousness or to try to even
they have to make on that with fluoride.
I mean, yeah, but but people are learning about that. And as everyone in the world knows about it and we don't do that anymore, something else is going to come. I mean, this is not something that's going to get won. There's not going to be a winner. There is no like God's going to win at the end or the devil's going to win at the end. Like there is perfect harmony and that's what the yin yang is all about. You know, there can't be a winner. So this is going to, you know, this is a toroid of existence. There's, like you said, it's not linear.
Depends what you think is winning. I mean, if you're talking about like the outcome, like the future of humanity.
I mean, in the universe, period, there can never be more light than dark.
No.
You know? What I'm just saying is that, like if you look at the universe in reality from the point of view that the devil can't be beat by God because then God wouldn't exist. You feel me? If there is no evil and no bad or no dark, then how can light exist if there's no dark to contrast it to? Everything is dual in this universe, you know?
I think the problem is that people think that bad equates with evil or darkness.
Even if it's just relative.
Dark, that's black. It doesn't mean it's bad.
Exactly.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, why is darkness necessarily bad?
Programming. It's not only in our culture. Not every culture doesn't look at it. Well, actually, yeah. Well, a lot of cultures do look at it like that, but
no, there's like primitive native cultures. There's some that don't have like jealousy. They don't have any negative emotions.
No word for war and no word for rape and murder. They don't even have words for those things because we don't do those things. That's stupid, and we're above that. You know.
Well, they're primitive. They have no contact with outside society or influences.
But are they primitive?
Nobody's there making them work for money, so they just evolved organically, and they say, so they don't have like negative words or even negative emotions like that. There's no, I mean, jealousy just literally doesn't exist. So, like if someone happens to fall down and hurt themselves, like they learn this from childhood. Someone falls down, everybody laughs about it. They're not like, oh no, you hurt yourself. There's no crying. There's no, it's like, they just laugh. I mean, it's just, I always held that with me. Like, I don't know. It's like, just try to hold on to that kind of attitude. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that can help.
Yeah, for sure.
I know I can go on forever. Right?
Yeah. Well, look, this has been an hour and 45 minutes, and we went over. I try to keep it between like an hour and 15 minutes for future, But we definitely need to wrap this on up. But I definitely am appreciative that you joined me in this long conversation tonight. I love your ideas, and I love that after 10 years we can see how each other, is evolving, and offer tips and helps, and kind of just share what our experiences, in a dialogue publicly with our friends. I mean, technology's moving, and I'm just really glad that we are able to do what we're doing right now. And I hope that, it helps anybody along their journey. And I hope that everybody who watched tonight, and even those of you who didn't, tune in to next Monday's episode at 9 p.m. Same bad channel, the THCShow.com. Find us on Facebook. Just search for the THC Show. I'm your host, Jericho Spitz. On the phone still with Gloria. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you on the next show. Please do call in and join me next time. You all have a wonderful night. Love, light, peace, blessings. Namaste. Let's go.
Bye.
Bye-bye.